Hi! In this lesson we're going to be looking at everything you need to know in order to play an open A major chord on the guitar. First of all, let's have a look at the diagram and see if we can work out where we're going to put our fingers. At this point, I'd encourage you to pause the video and see if you can work out, just by looking at the diagram, which fingers you would use. Once you've done that, let's get started on looking at how to play it. First of all, in terms of thumb placement, you can put your thumb with the pad on the middle of the neck. See this sort of middle line here going down the neck? Leave your thumb fairly straight and then put your fretted fingers where they're meant to be on the strings. However, for open chords, I would recommend having your thumb near the top or even slightly popping over the top like that. So sort of somewhere near the top of the neck, see this top bit here, or having it completely popping over the top like that. The low E is muted, so we don't play it. The A string is open. On the D string, I'm going to put my index on the 2nd fret. At this point, I should say there are quite a few finger combinations to play an A major chord, and I'll go over those other options in a minute. So, index on the 2nd fret of the D string, G string, middle finger, 2nd fret. So far we've got. On the B string, I'm going to put my ring finger on the 2nd fret, and the high E string is going to be open. So it sounds like this. Those different finger options. This next one I'm going to show you is one that I often use with beginners and students who are struggling to get all their fingers in with the combination that I've just shown. So this one, from low to high, instead of musically low to musically high, instead of index, middle, ring, it's going to go middle, index, ring. The benefit of that is the ring finger on the B string and the middle finger on the D string form this little space, this little tunnel that the index finger can sort of nestle into. I'm able to get all the fingertips fairly close to the fret. It also helps that if you're moving to a D chord, for example, your index finger doesn't have to move. So it's very handy. If you're just starting out, this is quite a good way to do it. I learnt it the way I've previously shown. But if you've got big fingers, this way often works. The next option, getting slightly harder now, is where we play all 3 of those fretted notes with one finger. So my index finger is going to play the 2nd fret of the D, G and B strings. Now that in itself, it's doable, tricky but doable, but the real difficulty is avoiding because I've also barred the 2nd fret of the high E. I've also fretted the 2nd fret of the high E. So the real difficulty with this way is getting this kink in my finger where it suddenly shoots away from the fretboard and allows the space for that high E to ring. So it sounds like this. But more often than not, if you're brand new to guitar, it'll probably sound like this. Or neither of which are ideal. So it's a tricky one, but it might work for you. It might work for you. You might be able to get all 5 notes ringing perfectly with the one finger way. The final way I'm going to show you, it's a bit of a curveball. From musically low to musically high, it's going to go middle finger, ring finger, index on the B string. There's only one player that I know of that does this, the legendary, incredible singer-songwriter James Taylor. Other than him, I don't think I've seen anyone do it like that. So yeah, there you go, there's your options. Personally, I'd try the first one, the way that I'm going to cover in this video, or the middle index ring, where the middle and ring create this little space for the index finger to nestle into. If you're brand new to guitar though, experiment with which one of these combinations feels the most comfortable and yields the most success. As you get better, you'll probably find yourself choosing a way to play it based on its context, i.e. based on what you're playing just before the A chord or what immediately follows the A chord. The A major chord should sound like this. However, if you're new to guitar, there's a strong possibility it won't quite sound like that, and that's completely normal. So let's isolate what could go wrong with it. When you're new to guitar, your ears don't know yet what a chord should and shouldn't sound like. So here's how I encourage people to learn not only how to play the chord, but how to learn what it should sound like. Get your fingers in position, using whichever finger combination you're going to go for. I'd recommend trying my way and then trying the others and applying the ideas that we're going to discuss to those other finger combinations to see what works for you. So, first of all, the low E isn't played, should be muted. So you can do that by either being careful with your pick or your thumb or finger or whatever you're using. Or you can mute the low E with just a tiny bit of your thumb flesh, like that. That'll do. The A string is going to be open. Let's check the D string. Okay, we've got the note, but it's a bit rattly. Because the finger is so far away from the optimal place within the fret, because it's all the way down here by necessity, we have to just press a little bit firmer than we usually would. There you go, there's that note ringing. So now we've got, let's check the G string. Working, nice. Okay, B string. There's a note there, but it's slightly muted. The reason for that is my ring finger, the tip of it, is actually on the fret. It's directly above the metal of the fret. And when you do that, you get the note, but it doesn't ring properly, it's percussive. So you've got to find a way of fitting all 3 fingers inside the space of that fret. So my ring finger down here on the 2nd fret of the D string is just pressing a little bit firmer than I usually would. G string, middle finger just doing its thing, and the ring finger, I'm just making sure I've got it inside the fret. Okay, high E, let's listen to it. Bit dead. Now on this one, it could be one of 2 things. It could be the underside of the ring finger doing that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to replace the ring finger so that it's a bit pointier, and hopefully that high E string will ring now. The other thing that could cause that kind of noise is the ring finger could be stood up nicely, but the flesh at the base of my index finger, where I'm holding the neck, could be dampening that high E string, causing that noise. So if that's what's causing it, you just need to make a little bit more room. See that tiny move? Working, not working. Working, not working. You just need to create enough space for that high E string to ring. Learn what the chord should sound like by playing it slow, playing one string at a time. Don't just pick it up and bash away. You might eventually learn what it should sound like, but it'll take you 10 times as long. When you're fixing, when you're isolating and fixing problems, make sure you don't change any of the fingers that you've fixed up to that point. When things are wrong, it can only be a combination or one of a few things. You might not be pressing with the right pressure, be that too soft or too hard. So too soft and you get this. Too hard and it bends it out of tune. Like that, bends it sharp. Another thing that can go wrong, pressing in the wrong part of the fret. So if I'm really, really far down the wrong end of the fret, nothing's going to make that note work. If I'm in the sweet spot just behind the metal, just behind the fret, you get a sweet note. And at the other end of the spectrum, instead of being too low down the fret, you can be on the fret. And you get that slightly dead note. So, wrong part of the fret, that's something else to look out for. The final thing that commonly goes wrong is some part of a fretting finger, be that just above the tip, the underside of the tip of the finger, or even somewhere down the base of your fingers near the palm. If any of that is touching a string that it shouldn't be, it will cause that string to not ring, so you'll get a dead note. So you've got to be really careful with not only standing the tips up, but also not getting too close to the high E, for example, with the underside of your, down the base of your fingers. All of this is about problem solving. What you're hearing is a result and an effect of what your left hand is doing. If the result is an unwanted effect, it's up to you to figure out the cause. Hopefully this has been useful to you. If it has, please consider signing up to my Patreon so I can continue to make videos like this. Link is in the description. And if you'd like help playing other chords, please check out my channel for more lessons. See you next time.